tonight, the special prosecutor in the case has reached a decision that should advance this case to the next step now. It's where we begin tonight with NBC's Kerry Sanders in Sanford, Florida. Kerry, good evening.
Good evening, Brian. There is no indication if the special prosecutor who was appointed by the governor plans to file charges. But George Zimmerman's legal team confirms to NBC News that their client has set up a webpage and is soliciting donations for funds to help fund a defense if one is needed. Special Prosecutor Angela Corey's office issued a short statement today that read in part, State Attorney Angela Corey has decided not to use a grand jury in the Trayvon Martin shooting death investigation and cautioned the decision should not be considered a factor in the final determination of the case. Corey has two options: bring charges against 28-year-old George Zimmerman in the shooting death of Trayvon Martin, or stick with the state attorney's initial conclusion and announce Zimmerman was in fear for his life that night and cannot be charged with a crime.
Whatever she decides, that's going to be the end of the matter. There is no appeal from a prosecutor's decision to charge or not charge.
Demonstrators today marched to Sanford's police department. Their sit-in closed the department for several hours, until a surprise. Several were invited inside to take a phone call from the special prosecutor.
She didn't give us much details, but sort of seemed to hint that something will be coming very shortly. So we were very excited by that.
We want an arrest. We wanted a conviction.
Trayvon Martin's family has been front and center with some of the nation's leading civil rights leaders, all demanding an arrest. Their legal team says they are hopeful that a decision will be reached very soon to arrest George Zimmerman and give Trayvon Martin's family the simple justice they have been seeking all along. George Zimmerman's lawyers say they remain confident in his case.
It's an indication, I think, that she's probably close to the end of her investigation, and I think it's an indication she's going to make the decision based on the law and the evidence. That's all it really tells us.
The special prosecutor in this case has no deadline, but sources close to the case indicate that she could announce a decision as early as tomorrow.
Hey everyone. So you heard the news. No grand jury in this case. So does Miss Corey believe that she's collected enough evidence to prosecute George Zimmerman without the need to consult a grand jury first? I don't know. Or is it a matter of she doesn't have enough evidence to prosecute George Zimmerman, and therefore she didn't feel the need to waste the time of the grand jury in bringing them in when she didn't have much to present? There are quite a few things that we are missing from this investigation, including the interrogation that should have taken place at the police station the night that Zimmerman was arrested. We still haven't seen those tapes, if they even exist at all. I've said this all along, that the police did not do their job initially in properly investigating this murder, and therefore it would be very easy for her to come back and say, you know what, there wasn't enough evidence to prove that Zimmerman did not act in self-defense, and therefore we cannot move forward with this case. I would not be surprised if she came back and said something like that. There were no tests at all done on George Zimmerman, including but not limited to alcohol and drug tests, ballistics tests. He was not tested for anything. And so one can only conclude that with very limited evidence to point to a murder, he may very well walk. If she decides to drop this case, she damn well better provide the public with evidence that Zimmerman was acting in self-defense. I expect to see photographs of Zimmerman's face, hands, head, the back of his head, his clothes, that would indicate that he was in a struggle, which still wouldn't prove self-defense, but it would show us where his injuries were, if there were any. I want to see the hospital bill where he claims that he had a broken nose. I want to see evidence that his back was turned when he was supposedly attacked from behind by Trayvon Martin. Were there any reenactments which would have shown the police, the special prosecutor, and the public exactly how the events unfolded? I need something more than just, we don't have enough evidence. There's nothing else we can do. Sorry, goodbye. There's too much pointing in the other direction, which says to me that the stand your ground law did not apply to George Zimmerman and that he was not acting in self-defense. I believe he was acting in anger when he shot Trayvon Martin because he started a fight with a kid and got his ass beat. And instead of him accepting defeat, he decided that he would shoot the kid instead. That's what I believe happened. And that is not self-defense. And it is not protected under the stand your ground law. George Zimmerman should be punished to the fullest extent of the law. He should be charged with no less than murder in the first degree, and he should be given the death penalty because he killed someone who was defenseless and he had no right to do so. Charging him with anything less would be an insult.